Just want to make sure that they get some of the money.
Okay, no, because it says in current statute, it's at 9%. And then it says it changes to 4.5%, so I'm just,
If it's reduction, I can't answer the question of that,
okay,
or answer your question, I'm sorry.
thank you.
But I didn't hear any pushback from anybody, so I'd assume that they're okay with what.
Thank you, Senator Coulterman.
Thank you.
Do we have any proponents?
Good afternoon, Chair Walls and members of the Education Committee. Thank you for allowing this opportunity today to speak to you. My name is Treva Haugard. It's Treva, and last name is Haugard. I am the Executive Director of the Council of Independent Nebraska Colleges, also known as SINC. The Council of Independent Nebraska Colleges is supportive of LB 62 and appreciates Senator Coulterman for introducing this bill that, if passed, would extend the sunset on the Nebraska Opportunity Grant Program. SINC represents all 13 of Nebraska's private colleges and universities. Collectively, the private colleges in Nebraska enroll 34% of students who are Pell eligible, in addition to a strong percentage of students who are first-generation college students. LB 62 provides critical funding specifically for Nebraska students to attend college and reduce their college debt by applying for and receiving scholarships from the Nebraska Opportunity Grant. According to the Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education, students received an average award of $1,446 during the 2019-20 academic year. These funds are critical for students who may be struggling with paying tuition, room and board, books, and other necessities in order to attend college. Nebraska has a high number of students who qualify for the Nebraska Opportunity Grants, but there is not adequate funding to provide support to all students. While there has been an incremental increase in the amount of funding available to Nebraska residents, these funds are falling short and do not meet the needs of students across the state. The 2019-20 report by the Coordinating Commission for Post-Secondary Education identified a gap of more than $170 million for Pell-eligible Nebraska residents. According to the same report, there were more than 18,000 students who were eligible to receive a NOG grant, but the funding was not available. In addition, in 2018-19, Nebraska ranked 34th in the country in the amount of state-provided need-based financial aid on a per-student basis. Nebraska students need the Nebraska Opportunity Grant funding included in LB 62. These are critical grant funds for our students who will graduate, obtain jobs, and contribute to our state's economy. This bill will help Nebraska and will help students, and for these reasons, SINC supports LB 62 and asks you to please advance this bill.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? Thank you for coming
Thank
today.
you.
Next proponent. Are there any opponents? Anybody in the neutral? Senator Coulterman waives closing. Thank you, Senator Coulterman. We did have 2 proponent letters, written testimony in lieu of person testimony from Heath Mello at the University of Nebraska and Greg Adams from the NCCA. We had 1 opponent, written testimony in lieu of person testimony from Justin Brady, Metro Tech Community College, and 1 neutral, Craig Lofquist at the ESUCC. We also had Position letters, proponents, Renee Bessie from Nebraska Association of Student Financial Aid, Kobe Koesch from NASB, and Mike Baumgartner from CCPE. There were no opponent position letters, and there was one neutral position letter from Paul Turman, the Nebraska State College System. And that concludes our hearing on LB 36, and it will open up our hearing on, it concludes our hearing on LB 62 and open up our hearing on LB 36. Senator Erdman. Okay, thank you. Welcome, Senator Erdman.
Thank you, Senator Walls. Sorry I'm late. I appreciate being here. My name is Steve Erdman, S-T-E-V-E-E-R-D-M-A-N. I represent District 47, which is 10 counties in the Panhandle. I'm here today to present to you LB 36. LB 36 is a bill that would ask schools, tell schools or encourage schools to put "In God We Trust," the national motto, in their school in a conspicuous place where it can be seen by the students. Numerous states have already done this. This "In God We Trust" motto was first mentioned by Francis Scott Keyes back in the fourth verse of the national anthem, and he wrote the Star Spangled Banner. It says, he wrote the following, "And this is to be our motto, in God we trust." "In God we trust" first appeared on our coins back in 1864, and then in 1957 it appeared on our money, our printed money, our paper money. The national motto, "In God We Trust," created by the Act of Congress in 1956. The bill was signed into law on July 30th, 1956 by then President Dwight Eisenhower. The national motto, "In God We Trust," was then affirmed again in 2002 and also in 2011 by the House of Representatives by an overwhelming majority, 396 to 9. They passed a resolution reaffirming the national motto and encouraging the public to display this motto in all public buildings, including public schools. Numerous state legislatures have passed similar laws in encouraging schools and state offices to place the poster with our national motto in every classroom. The national motto is inscribed in gold letters above the Speaker's podium in the House of Representatives and on the walls of the U.S. Senate chambers and the Visitor Center there. More than 600 cities and counties nationwide display the national motto in their offices, their chambers, their official seals, and even outside on their police and sheriff cruisers. The bill is needed because the national motto is not being taught or displayed in Nebraska public schools, yet it plays an important role in our history and in our heritage. This bill is also needed because school boards are afraid to display the national motto. Behind me, you will hear from people who are against the national motto being placed in our schools, and part of their issue will be its separation of church and state and those issues that are commonly mentioned when we talk about putting "In God We Trust" as a display in our schools. Displaying the national motto in schools is not a violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. The separation between church and state appears nowhere in our founding documents. No court anywhere in the U.S. has ever held the public posting of "The God We Trust" in violation of the U.S. Constitution. Instead, there is a strong legal support for doing so. In the Arrow versus United States 1970 High Court ruled, the High Court ruled, "In God we trust" has nothing whatsoever to do with the establishment of religion. It is a use of patriotic, symbolic character and bears no true resemblance to the government sponsorship of religion or exercise thereof. A school district in the Arlington Township in a high court ruled that "In God we trust" is interwoven. It is so deeply the fabric of our civil polity that its present use may well present the type of involvement which the First Amendment prohibits. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals back in 2010 said the national motto does not violate the First Amendment. So today I bring you that for your consideration and your advancement. We have, as I said, in 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the declaration that put the national motto "In God we trust" on our money. As I said, it was reaffirmed again back in 2002 and in 2011. And when we wrote this bill, we reviewed several other states, how they did it, and the bill that we fashioned it after was the bill in Virginia. And so we went back and reviewed what Virginia wrote in their statute, and I'd like to pass this out, if you could pass this out. Because we wanted to see if there were other states that had done this, and are there other states, is there another state that has put a requirement on their Attorney General to defend public schools who had this motto placed there that was challenged by somebody in court? And the answer is yes, it was. And 2002, and you'll see when you get the document there, in 2002, the Virginia legislature adopted the following. It says, "Posting certain statements in public schools." It says, "All school boards and venues shall prominently post the statement, 'In God we trust,' the national motto enacted by Congress in 1956, in a conspicuous place in each of their schools for all students to read. The office of Attorney General shall intervene on behalf of the school boards and shall provide legal defense for the provisions of this action." And number two, the state school boards, in their discretion, may accept contributions in cash or in kind for any person as defined in their section 1-1319 to defray the cost of implementing this provision. So that was the status of the law in Virginia as we've seen it. And when we've seen that, then we decided to write our law very similar. And the bill says that if a school district is challenged in court, that the Attorney General shall defend them. And so that is our goal. Our goal is to have it a conspicuous place, perhaps maybe in the cafeteria where every student would see it on a daily basis, or they could have it in each classroom if they decided to do that. The other provision we have is that if someone wants to donate the sign or to help defray the cost of the sign, that would be accepted as well. So that's kind of the gist of what we're trying to do today, and I would be willing to try to help answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Erdman. Questions from the committee? Senator McKinney.
Thank you. Senator Erdman, when you refer to God, are we leaving God to just one religion, or is it are we encompassing every religion that recognizes God?
Senator McKinney, I'm having trouble understanding.
Sorry. When we are saying "In God we trust," is that just for Christianity?
No.
No.
It's not a statement of religion. It's not a
Okay.
statement of religion.
But you do recognize that God in other religions is identified by different names. So if I'm Islamic,
Right.
should we say "In Allah we trust" as well?
That's not the national motto. The national motto is "In God we trust." 2 years ago, when I introduced this bill, a person who came in and testified in favor was a Muslim, and that person was in favor of putting "In God we trust" in the schools as well. It's not a statement of religion. It's a national motto.
But God has multiple names depending on what religion you.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator McKinney. Other questions? Senator Day.
Thank you, Chairwoman Wilson. Thank you, Senator Erdman, for being here today. So why is this necessary? Why is it necessary for the legislature to tell public buildings that they have to put something so that everyone in the building can see it?
Could you say that again? Why they have to?
Why is this necessary? Why is this bill necessary?
It's necessary, like in my testimony, I said that is not something that we see on a daily basis, and that has been left out. It's our national motto. We have it in almost every courthouse in the state. A lot of state and federal buildings have it, and it's an opportunity for the schools to place it there. There are many schools that would like to place this, but they're concerned about the liability.
But I guess that doesn't answer the question of why we need to legislate that. Why, you're saying that this provides them the opportunity to do so, or if the school did not want to post it in their school, do they have the option to not do so?
No, they do not.
So they have to.
It's the national motto. It says they shall place in a conspicuous place, the national motto.
So then I guess my other question would be, specifically as it relates to schools and children, I know that you said that you don't feel like it's a religious statement, but God is related to a religious practice of varying kinds, not any one specific. But what about, my question would be, what about the public school students who don't practice any religion, or who they don't believe in God, or their family doesn't prescribe to any religion?
Right. The courts have ruled on numerous occasions that this is not a statement of religion. This is a ceremonial proclamation by the federal government that says, "In God we trust" is the national motto. This is not a declaration of religion. They have said that on several court cases have said this is not a statement of religion.
But we have to recognize the fact that when we're talking about God, we're talking about religion,
We're talking about God.
which is related to a religion or any religion, right? I mean, I'm not quite picking up on how discussing God is not discussing something related to religion.
Well, the court cases that I've read in the last couple of days looking this up, they all concluded that this was not a statement of religion. This does not go against the enactment
Well,
clause.
and that's why I'm asking your thoughts. Like, so I hear you on the court cases and all of that. I'm understanding that, but when we're talking about God, whatever that God is, I feel like it's almost, I don't want to say disingenuous, but to say that when we're talking about God, that we're not talking about religion feels like maybe we're not, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure what I want to ask exactly, but I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Day. Senator Linehan.
Thank you, Chairwoman Wells. Would you, I know that you're not into, I think I know you pretty well, Senator Urban, so I don't think you're going to like this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Would you consider as a part of, because part of your concern is, right, there are schools that want to do this and they can't. They feel like they can't. So would you consider the idea that the bill said they don't have to, but they may?
Instead of the word shall, change it to may?
Yes.
You know, I've not given that a lot of thought. When we seen what Virginia did, it seemed to be appropriate for us, and that was the strategy that we were approaching with this bill. I would have to give that some consideration.
Okay, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee? Senator Pansy Brooks?
Thank you, Senator Erdman. Is this our third time that we've discussed this, or second?
Second.
Second, yeah. So I guess what I'm interested in is, if it's not a statement of religion, what is it? A historical statement?
It is, that's exactly what it is. It's a ceremonial historical statement that was put in place by Congress back in '56.
Okay. And I guess I'm just, having gone through the public schools, I have a strong faith, and it really didn't affect me that wasn't there, but I did know, because it's on our money, that that's our state slogan, or our national motto. And again, So I'm not sure that it's necessary to be able to teach kids what our national motto is.
I'm not sure I understand.
Why is it necessary? It's on our money. It's on our money,
It's on our money.
yeah.
Yes,
So most kids would understand that that is our national motto without it necessarily be emblazoned on the schools. And if it's on the schools, I mean, unless we have some little asterisk that says not a statement of faith, but of history, it's going to be taken as a statement of religion by most people.
It could be. I don't know how people are going to accept it. It's the national model. That's what they put on that's what they decided back in 1956.
And as we discussed before, I'd much prefer them to understand and know our state motto, which is equality before the law, because it has a greater impact on our citizens. But our state motto is equality
Yes, I
before the
agree.
law,
It
and
is, yes.
I wish that were the one that were emblazoned in each school, because it has much greater effect on our citizens.
You know, you can bring a bill like that.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Senator McKinney.
Thank you. Do you recognize that putting "In God We Trust" in our schools might offend some people?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there'll be some people who will come and testify, might be atheists. And it may not be pleasing to those people, but I have a difficult time understanding why atheists spend so much time trying to deny something that doesn't exist if God doesn't exist. You know, so what happens so many times in America is we now think that because somebody puts a statement up or says something, that we're offended. And that is our decision. We can make a decision to look at something and read it and be offended, or we can look at it as what it is and move on. And so if I'm going to go about my life thinking about if I say something or write this, somebody's going to be offended, I won't write anything. So if somebody sees the national motto and they're offended by it, then that's their choice to be offended. And so consequently, we can't protect everybody from everything. Being offended is your choice.
Yes, that is, but as legislators, we have, the responsibility to make sure that we take into account the feelings of all people, and not just some that believe in God and not those that don't. And I'm not just saying atheists would disagree with this. I know people who are Christians and Baptists and Islamic that don't feel like this needs to be in our schools. So it's not just atheists that I'm thinking about when I ask that question. There's others that don't feel like, the same way people feel like there shouldn't be sex education in schools, there's a lot of people that feel like there shouldn't be religion placed in schools in whatever form, no matter if you say it's the national motto or not. I guarantee if you did a poll and said, what do you think about when you see "In God We Trust," I'm almost sure a higher percentage would say religion or some type of religion.
Was there a question there?
No, it's just a
Okay.
statement.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Senator Merman.
Thank you, Senator Walls, and thanks for bringing this bill, Senator Erdman. I've been around a long time, as you have, I assume, but I've been to DC a few times and through the years, and I've noticed the buildings in DC that some of the buildings and inside and out used to have references to God in them, and they've some of them have been changed since I was there originally, 40, well, more than that, years ago. So I appreciate your reference to this is our history. And for instance, the new monument in DC to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, I don't think it has any reference to God in it. If it does, it's not very much. Okay. And it doesn't even call him Reverend, which, by the way, is who he was and who he was always referred to back in the day when he was around. So do you do agree then that, or do you agree that it's important to include our true history of our country,
Correct.
which includes
Yeah.
God?
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions from the committee? I see none. Thank you, Senator
Thank you.
Erdman.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry I was late.
That's okay this time. First proponent.
M-B-E-R, last name Parker, P-A-R-K-E-R. And I'm greatly troubled to see that we are catering so much to what one religion is over another, because atheism is truly a religion, because religion is the things you think, say, and do that is an act of worship, which makes religion. So we could get in that argument, but I want to stick to some facts today. In 1956, Congress made the national motto, "In God We Trust." Senator that's, we shouldn't just bring forward legislation to create legislation. It's to uphold the law, the governing law of the land, the Nebraska Constitution. This is what LB 36 would be doing. It is simply giving protection to public schools, teachers, and educating children of our nation's national motto, "In God We Trust." LB 36 protects our teachers and public schools by, as the bill shares, that the Attorney General shall intervene on behalf of any school board and any other party named as a defendant for their role in implementing this section. This is important to the state of Nebraska because groups like Freedom from Religion Foundation target to remove any national heritage of God by bullying through the finances and by their finances and attorneys. By LB 36 having the Attorney General represent by intervening on behalf of the school or schools, this will protect the teachers in being able to educate on our nation's national motto without fear of being sued for doing their job. I also want to list that there are 19 other states that have have this similar legislation as LB 36: Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee. Hold on, I'm missing a part. Texas, Utah, Virginia, and furthermore, the fiscal note I would like to address has now changed. There is a private donor who is in Nebraska, is a resident, and this is so important, and they care about that our future generations understand national heritage and the motto, "In God We Trust," which is on our money. That this fiscal note that says $10,000, I want to let you now know it is $5,000 because a private donor, and that is one thing that LB 36 has done. So I don't know about you guys, but how many of you could see a fiscal note saying the cost in the state of Nebraska would be $5,000? So it's no longer $10,000. And that concludes my testimony.
Thank you. Questions from the committee? I see none. Thank you for coming
Thank
today.
you.
Next proponent. Hello.
Good afternoon. My name is S. Wayne Smith. That's S. Wayne, W-A-Y-N-E, S-M-I-T-H. And I'm asking you to please vote yes on LB 36. The founders believed that without God-based values, America could not survive. The motto, "In God We Trust," goes back to 1863, as was mentioned before, when it was proposed as our country, our God, or God, our trust. And the final version was "In God We Trust" and appeared on the 2-cent coin in 1864. Every founder was preoccupied by the Bible. Benjamin Franklin said, "The longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men." He also said, "If men were so wicked as we now see them with religion, what would they be without it?" A Russian novelist wrote, "Where there is no God, all is permitted." I believe that this is what we are seeing today. Everything is permitted. John Adams wrote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." The Declaration of Independence establishes that rights come from nature and nature's God, not from government. Generally, individuals, in the Western world at least, have adopted the values passed down by centuries of Judeo-Christian values. They are living on what one author called cut flower ethics. Flowers are nurtured in a certain soil, and when cut from that soil, they can appear to survive for a certain amount of time, but they soon wither and die. So too, Western society's ethical values, when nurtured in Judeo-Christian soil and cut off from that soil, they too will seem to survive, but eventually, like cut flowers, those values will wither and die. America was founded on an idea, a value system, and that value system, unique to America, is on every American coin. Liberty, in God we trust, and e pluribus unum. All three values are necessary components that